All right, everybody. So let me bring to you a really exciting new program, a new show that we're starting. So maybe if I'll give you a little bit of history, guys, that I'll give you the format of the show and also what you could expect moving forward. We'll set the tone of kind of why we did this, what we're trying to do here, and how we're trying to add value to the audience. So Cage, my co-host, and I, we've gotten into NFTs maybe 9 months ago. Top Shot was the way we got into it, but we're traditionally collectors. We come from the sports card world. We've been learning the NFT space for a long time, and we were like, what do we do best? We love having conversations with intelligent people. We love reviewing different projects in the NFT space, and we love to learn. We love to talk. We love to have conversations. We love to add value to our audience. So we said, let's create a show. Let's create a show called Crypto Casuals. How do we do it? All right, so this is how it's going to be, and I think it's going to be the best NFT show out there. Here's why. We're going to have one episode a week where we're reviewing 5 projects, 5 NFTs that are dropping that week. They might have dropped 6 months ago. And we're talking to you what we see in those, the pros, the cons, the rug pulls, the dev team, the artwork, whatever it is, we're going to do a review. Think of it as the IMDb for NFT world. We're also going to have a guest episode. You guys know we have some really, really, really awesome people in the NFT space that we could have a conversation with. They could educate, they could teach you guys a little bit about what they're doing, whether that's artists, creatives, business people, people that are investing and changing the landscape of the NFT world. We want to talk about that. We want to bring that attention to you guys. So we couldn't be more excited. We're also a little nervous because we come from the sports card world, and here we are jumping into a new place. We're not going to be here telling you that we're experts. What we're going to be telling you is join us for this journey, join us for this ride, because we're very excited, and where we're going to be 12 months from now isn't where we are now. We have a growth mindset. We're always trying to improve. We're always trying to learn. And what we've done well in the sports card space, and our community there will tell you this, is we take you guys along for the ride with us. Think of us maybe for the people out here that live in Tulum or in Mexico or like recreational drugs. Think of us as a Sherpa of sorts.
Sherpa. I like it, man. A Sherpa. Listen, I'm excited about this because, there will be folks listening to this who know us from our successful podcast in the hobby, the sports cards, memorabilia, you name it. And I came into that with 4 decades of collecting experience. And obviously nobody has 4 decades of collecting experience and investing experience in NFTs because they just haven't existed for that long. So it's great, right? Because it'll allow me to be on this ride with you guys, right? To talk about what we're seeing that week, that day, and maybe share the next week of a project or 2 or 3 with you guys, and then come back and talk about it again. And at the same time, bring in a couple of things that have worked for us on our other podcast, on our sports card podcast. And the guest episodes are wildly successful. And that will allow us to bring in someone with some expertise in a certain area, on a certain project, from a certain segment or corner of the crypto world. And those are going to be helpful for all of us, including Andrew and myself, to learn as part of those guest episodes as well. So I really am excited about this because, Andrew kind of touched on it. What we've been successful with is providing value for our audience, right? And that comes in many different forms. But what we've identified this year is that this is a space with opportunities, right? And it's a space where people are afraid to take advantage of those opportunities because there may be a lack of education. There may be a lack of an avenue for someone to get into this space. And we are hopeful that this show will educate folks as we're being educated, as we're learning things about specific projects, and allow you to kind of come along for the ride. And we have an interesting little fun thing here. We're 5 minutes in almost, and Andrew has spoken. We have right in the middle a little shadowy coder. So what's going to be fun about this is behind the scenes. So our sports card podcast is Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. A little play on Lions, Tigers, and Bears for the Wizard of Oz. But there's always in the movie The Wizard of Oz that man behind the curtain. There's always been that wizard, right? That you're not supposed to pay attention to, but he's actually pulling all the strings back there. So we have a wizard behind the curtain right there, shadowy coder, who's going to be wearing many, many hats for us. He'll chime in. He may tell us we've made a mistake. We might have misstated something about a project. I may be telling you that I think this project's great. And wizard, shadowy coder over there might tell you that he thinks it's going to be a rug pull, and here's the 4 reasons why. It's someone who has a little more experience in the coding world, someone who has a little more experience researching these things. Think of it sometimes wearing a fact checker hat.
Right.
And more often than not, wearing the hat of an audience member. Coming along with us for the ride and asking the questions that we think you might be asking as we go through a project. So it's just a little thing we're adding in here. That way, when we interact with you, and you have questions, you let us know. Maybe those questions that you have can be asked by our man behind the curtain there.
That's right. And
I'm very excited, man.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into the show, guys, but that's it right there. Cage and I were qualitative guys. We're gut instinct. We're what feels right. We wanted to counterbalance that with somebody who's in the analytics, who's in the weeds, who's looking at people's transactions and looking at their wallets, studying the space from a quant side. And I think that balance of gut instinct feel with data and quant is going to be beautiful for you guys, because at the end of the day, we want to help you guys make money, avoid getting rug pulled, and get the best education and information out there. So let's take this back 9 months. Cage and I were into Top Shot. So let's talk a little bit about our credentials as to why we even have the pedigree, so to speak, to talk about NFTs. 9 months ago, Top Shot. Top Shot is a project that, in my opinion, doesn't get enough love for this one reason. How many people they brought into the space, right? It was like NFT for dummies, so to speak. And often, and what we saw happen, Cage, and this is the first project we're going to discuss on the show today, that Top Shot money, the people that had success in Top Shot, they rolled their money into CryptoPunks and Bored Apes. Is that right?
Yep, that's true. A lot of Bored Apes.
What did you learn? What did you learn from the Top Shot experience? What takeaways do you have from the Top Shot experience?
All right.
And let's start there, and then we're going to talk about 5 different projects today, guys. And I'll tell you what they're going to be. We're going to talk about Bored Ape Yacht Club. We're going to talk about My Little Orphan and Winter Bears, which one is more than likely a rug pull, a scheme. Winter Bears, Cage is going to share his 2 cents on it. Sappy Seals, Qubits, and we're going to finish with Evolved Apes. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about cryptos. So we're going to talk about 5, maybe 6 projects on a weekly basis. After a few weeks, maybe even episode number 2, I guarantee our community is going to be the ones asking us to review different projects for them. So that's where it's going to get exciting. But Top Shot.
We'll talk about what you want to talk about.
Yep.
So what's funny about this, what I learned from Top Shot is twofold. If anybody goes back, hey, you like the way we speak, and you want to listen to some of our other episodes, if you happen to fact check me and go back to January or December, you'd hear me basically talking about crypto and Bitcoin and saying it's just not for me. It's not something I'm going to jump into. It's not something that I want to invest in. I'm a cardboard guy. I'm going to collect baseball cards, right? And then, blockchain. Why? What do we need it for? Why can't I do that on an Excel spreadsheet? Why do I need the blockchain to do this for? Right? So it's an old man mentality, right? And unfortunately, it's basically like standing on the tracks so the train is going to come run you over. And I did not realize that until Top Shot became sort of like a gateway drug for me. And I know that crypto fanatics look down on Top Shot, right? And I understand why now, right? Because of the centralized nature of it, the Flow blockchain as opposed to the other blockchains that are out there, and just the fact that it's its own universe, right? It's its own controlled universe. You can't take anything out into your own wallet, you name it. I get that now. But what's funny about it is what it allowed me to do was basically enter a rudimentary 101 course, right? It was like adult education. It was like going back to school for a minute and trying to learn, all right, I get this now, okay? I understand it. And they allowed me to get in without the barriers of entry, right? I was able to use fiat. I was able to just buy on my credit card and go through the process, but then also understand the value of having these things on the blockchain, right? I was not in OpenSea. I was not on Rarible. I was not doing any of that stuff. And what's funny about it is, we're all going to learn this and we're all going to accept this stuff at our own paces. But this is coming, right? It's already here. Most of you who are listening to us now, you're knee deep in it, or you're thinking, wow, is this something I should get into? For those of you thinking, is this something I should get into? be aware of my story. My hesitancy to jump in has cost a lot of money. It's cost me a lot of money because while I got in Top Shot and did well, everybody else, when Top Shot was sort of fizzling out in March, everybody else that was the gateway drug. They were jumping into OpenSea and buying Bored Apes at Mint, right? Pranksy was in Top Shot, right? And basically people followed him over to, as many hundreds of Bored Apes that he minted, and they minted those things and they learned about open. And I'm like, I remember doing episodes saying, all right, what's going on with these apes? I'm not buying it. It's an ape. What's going on with these things?
So that's the perfect segue though, Cage, because that's NFT project number one. So Shadowy Coder, I'm probably gonna call you by your real name one of these times, but if you could pull a Bored Ape Yacht Club, 36 ETH floor price. Cage, what made that
down
project,
about 10% week over week?
So two questions. What made that project so successful? And with big projects like this, when you see ETH move, I think ETH is up, close to 25% in the last week. What happens to the floor price of these big projects? But first, what made Bored Yacht Club so successful? I'm curious.
Right. So, listen, with a lot of these things, there's a lot of luck involved, there's a lot of timing involved, there's a lot of, where the capital is. A lot of people are taking their money from Top Shot and moving it into this product. But in reality, what has given it the legs, what has given it the sustainability is there's a couple things with any NFT that you look for, right? The community that they're building around it is one of the three. You can rank them however you like. You can have your ranking. I'll have my ranking. Shadowy Coder person can have his ranking. But ultimately, what sets Bored Apes apart is that they have a rabid community of people that own it, people who are happy to own it, people who show it off. And when you're happy to show something off, you're also willing to pay more for it. You've said on our other show that Bored Apes is sort of like the Supreme, right? It's like you wear a Supreme shirt. Now, there's not much different between a Supreme shirt and a regular Fruit of the Loom or Hanes white T-shirt, other than it's got the word Supreme across it, right? Maybe they use a little bit better material, but it's not going to justify the fact that it's 50 times the cost, right? It's the same thing going on there. It's become a cultural thing. People bought in. The community they rally around each other. They follow each other. They're rabid on Discord, and people who own it. They don't want to sell it. Most people who own it own one. I think it has one of the largest, if not the largest, unique holder base, something like 60% or something like that. You can check that out, Shadowy Coder on OpenSea. It'll tell you how many unique holders there are, but I think it's in excess of 60%, which means that the pricing of it is probably safer than most because you don't have a lot of people who are holding multiples and will dump and say, all right, I'm getting rid of one, because you don't want to get rid of the only one that you have of this great asset. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who got in early and own several. But that community, that unique wallet, and then, of course, because they had success, the team behind it and their roadmaps and just what they're doing, coming up with the mutant apes, coming up with the dogs, coming up with all of the additional drops that they have that have created additional value for their holders and continued over time to make being a holder of Bored Apes more valuable. So you have sort of that utility, that value proposition combined with that community and just that cool factor. Steph Curry bought one of these things. You know what I mean? That alone gets people to look at it. So
a few things, guys. Sure. Unique holders, take a look at that. That's a really important metric. And Cage, there's 5.6K unique holders out of 10.
There you go.
So 56%.
56%.
Second thing, and I'm curious if this is on the roadmap. Something Supreme did really well, if you guys remember 2008, 2009, 10, is they did collabs with other brands. So you would see Louis Vuitton Supreme bags or Louis Vuitton Supreme hoodies. Do you see something like that happening in the tangible world where you use this Ape brand and, you come out with a Nike Bored Ape Yacht Club design with a Nike logo? Do you see
possibly
something like that happening?
Yeah,
is that possibly on the roadmap?
Right now, I don't see that as part of their roadmap. Their roadmap is more, it's access to things. They're called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I think it might be November 1st, right around Halloween. They're renting a yacht. It's in New York, and your Bored Ape is your access ticket to it. You got to get online. I think they're giving I think it's like $2,500 for apes with a guest. Then it's like 2,500 for ape, then like 2,500 for like the mutant apes, as well, because they're part of the whole family as well. But stuff like that, they've now built up a war chest where the development team has enough money behind them that they could really do some cool stuff. So, and that continues to add that utility, that value to ownership for Bored Apes.
I love it. So now, guys,
would you
let's
buy
talk
one?
about. Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna own one soon, guys.
You'd buy a Bored Ape if you had 36 or 40 ETH to your name. Would you, or ETH to your name? If you had that to your name, would you buy that, or would you buy something else?
Two reasons why it's a yes. So number one reason is we've had a few people on our show and on our Card Talk show. And it's going to be funny, guys. We're going to bring a lot of anecdotes and metaphors from the sports card world that we've learned that we do believe will transfer over to the NFT world. Some things we'll bring over and you guys will say it's not how it works here. And I think that there's some beauty in that. But there was an episode where we had a gentleman on and he talked about how it's counterintuitive, but the highest priced assets are actually the ones that have the most alpha, right? So like the Jordan PSA 10 is considered the bellwether stock of the hobby. That's actually appreciated significantly more than some lower end Jordan cards. So first thing with like Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, you think, these are the highest priced assets. There's probably more returns, when it comes to Sappy Seals or Dizzy Dragons or things like that. It's actually quite counterintuitive that these blue chip assets, they actually go up more over time. So that's how it's happened in sports cards. So from an investment, yes. And it's that admission ticket, right? It's when you put that on your profile, when you put that as your PFP, people treat you different. You have this next level of notoriety. It's kind of like you're in the cool crowd. And I'm not out there telling anybody to be a part of the cool crowd or not. Growing up in high school, I was not a part of the cool crowd. I'll let you guys know. And I'll tell you guys stories as to why. But there is something about how we're running our business and how we're growing our page that it would be a great value add to have a Bored Ape Yacht. It would be. So those are two reasons.
As long as it's not one that has the eye sticking out. I don't like the ones that have like the eye out.
I like,
but that's
teeth.
Personal preference. Gold teeth. That's not a floor ape. Gold teeth not going to be.
I don't
cheap.
go for floor. I don't do anything at the floor. So real quick, and this is important for our day traders out there, for our NFT guys that are, or gals that are, doing this 1 week, 2 weeks, kind of flipping. But talk to us, Cage, what has happened when Mutant Apes came out versus when they started to get minted? How did that affect the price, right? Because we always talk about buy the hype, sell the news in sports cards. Is there something for, not long-term holders, for week-to-week traders that they can learn from this release?
Yeah, well, so what happened with it, and this happens, from time to time when you have these mint pass type of things, right? Where if you own something, you're able to, either pay gas or pay a fee and then mint something else. You're especially on projects where you can get a rare one, and that rare one can be life-changing. So, for Mutant Apes, basically, if you owned a Bored Ape and paid the entry fee, let's call it, you were able to mutate your ape and have this other now mutant ape. And there were serums, and there's different levels of it. And basically, what happened was you could mutate your ape into now this new group of rarity. Even though you might not have had the rarest ape in your regular Bored Ape, you can mutate, and your mutant ape might be one of the rare ones that's worth a ton of money, right? So now you're basically getting a shot at what I'm going to call a lotto ticket during mint to get a mutant ape that's worth potentially more than what your Bored Ape is worth. So what happened on pricing on that is you saw the price go up because there is a cost associated with that minting. Now, it's not only that the value of having your ape combined with whatever this mutant ape is going to be worth, but also the potential that mutant ape is going to be worth more. You have a shot at minting something that's a rarity, right? And then, of course, after that happens, and people have those and they're separate, the price of the regular initial ape comes down. It's in the world of stocks. It's similar to, without that lottery ticket, to like ex-dividend date, right? So, a stock will go up in price up until the date that the dividend is distributed, usually in kind to how much that dividend is.
Yep.
And then the dividends distributor next trading day, the stock is down what the value of that dividend was, right? So people trade just based on that little bit of information as well.
Yes, they do.
I don't, it's not one we're talking about unless you want to just completely go off the handle, but like, I don't know what Knights of Degen are trading at today, right? But if they're below 0.23, that would help me with my thesis now, because yesterday they were
0.17.
There you go. So here's a perfect example of what you're trying to show, right? So yesterday they had an art reveal. These are Knights of Degen, the Jack Settleman, Blake Jameson run project. And they minted, I think, at like 0.088. So even 0.17 is double what the mint price was if you got in the mint. But what they minted were unrevealed. So yesterday,
mint
right before
pass
the
is
art
what
reveal,
they're called, right?
so they had a mint pass that let you mint, and then you could mint one, but they didn't reveal the art of it until yesterday at 6 p.m. So up until yesterday at 6 p.m. when the art is revealed, every one of those had a shot to be one of the rarer ones worth more than the floor price. So they were worth 0.235-ish or 0.23 heading into that 6 p.m. art reveal. But now the floor is less than that, right? Now the floor is 0.17 because 0.17 is the non-rare ones. So there's that baked-in lotto ticket that adds to the price of it, right? So
we saw that. We see this in cards. We saw this on Top Shot when Top Shot released packs. People were getting the packs, and then they were selling off to get their money back, and it would temporarily drop the floor. And then long term, you would see, is this project sustainable or not? You see this across the board. So I love this, guys. We're 21 minutes in. We're going to try to keep this as a 30-minute or less show. Obviously, we're both talkers. We'll go over that time more than likely. And guys, this is going to be collaborative. So if there's something that you want us to touch on, if there's a guest you want us to have on the show, put it in the YouTube comments and smash that like button.
Smash it.
Smash. Because
Smash,
we really
smash.
do. We're gonna listen and respond to every single comment, and we're going to try to take your feedback and really deliver on the value that you guys need, not just what we think. Let's get into something, because we can't just talk about our wins, right? Top Shot, amazing. We had some success. We got to talk about our losses, and that's what we're going to be, guys. We're going to be transparent. And we lost some money on My Little Orphan, and they did this incredible scheme where, we all know that you can airdrop NFTs into people's wallets. But what's interesting now is, don't give them any love, bro. I mean, Shadowy Coder.
Put up Winter Bears, because we can combine these two into two talking things. So we put up the Winter Bear one.
What they did was they made it seem like influencers in the NFT space were actually minting these. Cage.
Yep.
Here we are about a week and a half later. What the F happened? What the
So
NFT
let's
happened?
talk about this, right? This is a great learning experience, right? And I've seen other folks. Pranksy just did this. Art Chick, digital art chick, and basically what the space is filled with is people who follow influencers, right? Gary V tweets and says, "Hey, I'm going to be on this. Go ahead and mint," and then everybody mints it, and it's done, right? And it gets finished. You see these influencers who are able to tweet about something, and the floor price rises as they tweet, as they talk about it. Digital Art Chick was doing this about a week and a half ago with Winter Bears, right? I remember when she first started tweeting about it. I know her from Fatales, that I'm a large holder of. So when she started tweeting about it, I look at it, and it was 0.11. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll get in this. The next thing I know, it's 0.13, then 0.15, and then it's 0.2. And I'm like, wow, she's really, pumping her bags on this one. I'm like, how much more could it really go up? It minted, 1/5 of this. The next thing you know, in 2 days, it's over 1. It was over 1. It was like 1.1, 1.2. Like, I didn't even see what the top was on it. You can check it.
This is Winter Bears, right?
Right, Winter Bears. But what's funny is, and we could talk about Winter Bears in a second, it has obviously significantly fallen from there. I think it's less than 0.5 now. Last time I looked, it was in the 0.4 and change range. You can tell me what it is, Shadowy Coder, if you like. But I bring that up.
0.61.
Okay, so it's 0.61?
Yep.
Okay, so it's actually made a little bit.
Bears.
It's actually come back a little bit from where it was 2 days ago, which is good, and another thing we can talk about. But I saw that, and I'm like, wow, this art chick, she really can move a project. let me see in her wallet what she's buying now, because these winter bears weren't something she bought that day. She was in the project, she accumulated them, and then all of a sudden, a day or two later, she's pumping them up. So I look at her wallet and it says that she had just minted 40 My Little Orphans after minting them, a couple of hours before. It said minted from a null address, the same way it looks when I mint something. Now, mistake, I didn't go in further into the Etherscan and see whether or not it was something she actually minted, because here's the scam, right? Turns out she didn't mint these things, but My Little Orphans was able to drop these into her wallet and make it look like she was minting. And I'm like, oh, you know what? She obviously could just print money. If she's on those, let's get in. I'll buy as many as I can now. People are minting them. Other people are seeing this and falling for it. Or the project themselves is faking the mint and minting them themselves. And it looks like the mint count is growing and going, and it's heading towards sellout. There's only 200 left. Let me get in before it sells out. Let me get in and get as many as I can, because in 2 days she's going to be pumping these, and I'm buying them at 0.06 or 0.08 or whatever the heck it was. And let me get a bunch of these, because she's going to make these go from 0.08 to 1, just like the winter bears. Dumb, right? Just dumb. Now, what's funny is, it's great that we're doing this episode here on October 8th, because that day, the post on the site was, they'll reveal the art on October 7th. That was what it said. They'll reveal the art on October 7th. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's a rug pull, maybe it's not. Let's see what they do. Maybe, they sold out. Maybe they got some money. Maybe there's art. On their webpage, there was some decent art. Like, it was kind of cute. I'm like, all right, I could see this. This could work.
3,888 orphans need a home. They tugged
3,888.
They tugged on my heartstrings.
Tugged on my
I could
heartstrings.
be that home. I could, 50 of you, come on over. I'll provide a home.
Let's go. I'll buy as many of these orphans as I'm like Daddy Warbucks over here. Little Orphan Annie. Bring
Cage
it
was
over.
ready to order them Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, yesterday, October 7th comes along, and I go to the website to see whether or not the art's being revealed. I'm refreshing my metadata, and I'm like, what's going on? And then the website says art will be revealed on October 8th. I haven't seen the art revealed yet, though. What do you guys say? Go ahead.
I mean, that was very interesting. What they did was, it was yesterday, if you go to OpenSea, it said revealed on October 7th. Today I logged into OpenSea, revealed on October 8th. So I'm excited I don't know if excited is the right word. I'm not very excited to lose money, but that's what it seems like at this point. How long they're going to go with this? Like, it's just
October
10th.
9th.
Hilariously, people are still buying. Buying.
But for significantly lower than what the mint price was. I mean, like negligible amounts of money. But yeah, people are still buying. But yeah, it's so the lesson learned from those two projects there, it's two different sides of the coin, right? One, do your own research. Don't just follow. And if you are going to utilize what influencers are buying as a tool, as just one piece of your research, get right into that Etherscan. You know what I mean? You got to get in and see whether or not they're actually minting these and actually buying them, or if somebody's trying to make it look like that, whether it's Gary Vee or anybody else. That's number one. Number two, the flip side is they can pump these projects that they're really in so much so that you have to be careful at what your entry point is. Now, had I bought in at 0.11 or 0.15 or 0.2, I would be happy that it's at 0.6 now. But that thing ran up. It's half of what it was at. And there are other people who are pumping this who have escaped and gotten out of it. So the flip side to the coin is, be careful on those runners, right? Because a lot of that is it's built on hot air. So just be careful on it. 0.61. I'm not crapping on winter bears. Obviously, they found some support in the 0.4-ish range and have now turned it around a little bit. A lot of that could be gas pricing. A lot of that could be midweek. Another thing we could talk about in our next show, Andrew, is one of my theories about midweek doldrums and then weekend buying, and how that could be an opportunity. Buying at the lows during the middle of the week and seeing how during the weekends things kind of start to perk up again at certain levels. But
Two things to that real quick, guys.
Shoot.
If you are going to be along for this journey with us, and we really hope you will be, there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be working on to get into your hands. One of those things is we're going to create an email newsletter that our shadowy coder is helping us put together. We're putting every influencer celebrity's wallet together in an Excel sheet. What's cool about the blockchain, Cage, is, coming from the sports card world, we always said we want to see what people own, right? we're going to put that publicly to show what do we own, what do other influencers own, and we want to share that with our community because that's important in my opinion. So if you guys are along for the ride, there's going to be a ton of these little kind of value adds or deliverables, things like that, that we think will benefit our community that we're going to roll out for you guys.
Cool.
One more project, okay?
Sure.
Because we're going to usually do 5, but we want to keep these 30 minutes or less. And we'll save the. Do you want to do any upcoming IPOs? Are there any upcoming NFT releases that you are excited?
Why don't we do that as a segment after? I don't want to run too long. We spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the beginning, kind of introing the show, so we won't have that in future shows. But yeah, let's talk about one more project, and then if there's anything coming up, and we could have talked about the Mechaverse, as an upcoming if we did this a couple of days ago. But there'll be another one. Coming up. Shoot,
Cage. Our sports card show we do every day. We're going to do this once a week, and honestly, I feel like we're going to have too much content that we're going to need to do it twice, 3, 4 times a week. But we're only going to go to more than once a week if there's genuine interest and demand. So smash that subscribe button. Because this is a new channel. We need the support. We want to grow with you guys. We want to be the one-stop shop, so to speak, of NFT content as transparent as possible, because we do believe that this space is awesome. There's a lot of cool people in it, but we do want to bring a level of transparency and education to you guys. Cryptodes. So Cryptodes by Gremplin. Collection of 6,969 small amphibious creatures trying to escape the tyrannical rule of evil King Gremplin. Here's where it gets interesting, Cage. And this is a project. There's 7,000 items, 3,300 owners, so a little bit less than 50% unique wallets. This project is in the public domain. Feel free to use the toads in any way you want. And guys, let me read you what the public domain means. The term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws such as copyright, trademark, or patent. So it's a good thing that my co-host is a lawyer, so he'll be able to add a little bit of color flavor to this. But I think that's a big deal, because basically what that means is if I wanted to, put a crypto that I own on my shirt, I could do that. And not only could I do that, I could actually sell it, right? So If I'm a business owner, if I'm making hats or I'm making apparel, or maybe I have a digital company, I could use the cryptode that I own to actually profit off of. Am I thinking about that the right way?
Yeah. This is the new way of NFTs, right? This is a new piece of utility, a new value. I go back to Fatales just because I'm in that Discord all the time. But there is a woman who runs her own law firm, and she has utilized her Fatale as like the logo for her law firm. It's the whole deal. She's like, "Let me show you." Did a whole video about it and used it as part of her business logo, which is pretty cool. It's not going to generate money like buying shirts and that kind of stuff, but it's someone who's using it as their own law firm logo is pretty cool. But yes, and in the Toad space, there are other NFTs using them, so that's another fun part, right? Like you can utilize that with the ability to do it. It's not an unlicensed copy. You're able to do that. So like stacked and unstacked toads. I think there's zombie toads. There are these other toads utilizing the toads because they're allowed to, right? If you want to make a shirt, go right ahead. But I think a lot of projects are doing this now. I'm pretty sure. I read that Knights of Degen had that as well, and a bunch of other projects that are out there that if you have it, then you have the ability to use it as you see fit, which is pretty cool. Because I don't think a lot of the earlier ones had that.
A question from over here, though. One thing I noticed about the Cryptodes was that it seemed like an entire release of all of their artwork, not just to the owner, but to the public, which is different from what I've seen, for example, with World of Women, who says, if you own this NFT, you can use this one picture. So I don't own any Cryptodes. Can I still use the Cryptodes images because it has been released on the public domain? And is that any different than what's going on with World of Women?
Yes, I think it's a very big difference. And you're 100% right. So World of Women is one of them. Like if you own that one, you can use that one. Like I don't own a license to use the one that Logan Paul owns. I can't make a shirt with his night goddess on it. But the Cryptodes putting it in the public domain means basically anybody can use any of them rather than just the license comes from me owning that NFT. It's a big difference. Thank you, voice from above.
I'm on mute. This episode couldn't have gone any better, guys. So please remember, this is our first episode. We're hitting the ground running. We're also going to have an awesome guest episode with the Owners Club. And that's kind of how this is going to go. We're going to have one guest episode from someone that's crushing it in the NFT space, whether that's as an artist, as a creative, as a business person. We want to hear from them. And then we're going to do this kind of week in review, talk about 5 projects that are very compelling and interesting. Oftentimes, those 5 projects are going to come from you guys. So let us know. This isn't going to be a podcast. It's only going to be on YouTube. Let us know in the comments. What projects do you want us to talk about? What topics are you struggling to fully wrap your head around in the NFT world? We're really, really looking forward to doing the show, learning and growing with you guys. We'll be back next week, and we appreciate all of the support. Any final words,
guys?
Sage?
Yeah, I'd love to throw one win, and whether we do this or not, you have nothing to lose. So I've never been, a YouTuber. We have our other shows on YouTube. You say smash that like button, right? Smash it, smash and subscribe and smashy smash. So one of the things I'd like to throw in to the show, and you guys let us know on YouTube if you want to do this. If you subscribe, maybe we give something back to you, right? We have a little tiger as our mascot there for Crypto Casuals. Maybe we come up with like a tiger vault, right? And if possible, we add into that tiger vault one of the NFTs that we reviewed that week, or an NFT that you guys have chosen, and maybe the first 1,000, 5,000, 500, we'll come up with a number. People who subscribe will be entered into a lottery to win one of the NFTs that's in that vault. No reason we can't do something like that if it's something you guys would be interested in. We'll talk about that behind the scenes with the man behind the curtain, and you have nothing to lose. So if we do that, I'm sure we're going to do it. But if we do that, you have to be subscribed. So, if we would appreciate it, we'd love the support. Hit that subscribe, and hopefully it winds up paying off for you.
I want to say this from the get, guys. We said this with our sports card show. We'll say this here. We're never going to charge for content. This isn't going to be a show that, we start up, we get 10K subscribers in, 3 months, and then we go Patreon or paywall. That's not what we do, and that's not what we're about. The guys in our sports card community will tell you we love doing giveaways. We love connecting with our audience. Much of our audience has become our own friends. So just so you know, kind of hitting the ground running, wanted to be completely transparent. This will never be a paid show. So the only thing we ask is we're never going to run paid ads. You're never going to see that. We're never going to do like mid-roll and be like, stop the show and, hey, let me read you something from Roman. All we ask is if we do a good job.
What's Roman?
Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your enemy. We'll see you next week.